Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. Not too sure I want this anymore. Hello all, I tried posting in r/surviving infidelity, but that was not a very good experience. Most of the folks over there seem pretty jaded overall. I completely understand it, but I'm doing all I can to hold my marriage together. I deleted my original post over there, so I'd like to share the full details here in hopes of getting some suggestions on how to move forward. 6 weeks ago now, I, 35 meters, found out my WW33F of 15 years has been cheating off and on for around 12 of them. In the beginning of our relationship, I had somewhat of an emotional affair with an ex-girlfriend from high school. It consisted of talking to her through tough times and enjoying the attention she gave me. I suppose I could say looking back that I was in a state of limerence, not really being sure what I wanted then, as I was young and incredibly stupid. I never wanted to leave my wife. I truly and deeply love her, and that has never changed. This continued for around 3 years, nothing romantic whatsoever, but hurtful to my spouse all the same. I deeply regret it, and have done everything I can for the last 12 years to ensure my wife knows she's my one and only. She has all of my passwords, 24/7 access to any information she needs, and has enjoyed a significant amount of free reign in our relationship due to my undying devotion to her. Unfortunately, that devotion and willingness to turn a blind eye caused me to overlook a significant amount of red flags throughout the years. I want to give a detailed account of them, as I am only now remembering, and so you can understand the problems we currently have. Early on, around year 3, she shared a bed at a party with a strange man, not wanting to make him sleep on the floor. She told me about that and I thought it was funny and innocent. Sometime around her 21st birthday, she went to the bar with co-workers. I stayed up late that night and got worried as the time got later and later. Tried calling a few times to no answer, until finally around 3 a.m. she called me back and explained she had been driving a co-worker around town for hours trying to find his house. When she found out about my final conversation with my ex, she started talking to and spending significant time with a close male friend she's had for many years, which is assumed to be her first AP. AP1. She said that he would comfort her, and it started innocently, but due to me not wanting her to continue seeing him, it escalated. They would work out together, hang out and watch TV, and she would take my son swimming at his house. Finally they made the switch to a full-blown PA that lasted for at least 6 months. During that time we fought often, and I tried to leave twice, ending with my then 4-year-old son chasing me down the road barefoot begging me not to leave. Hardest day of my life until recently, and really made me change the road I was walking. I took all of the time she spent with him as friend time, especially since he was her best friend's ex. It hurt, but I deserved it then, as I wasn't being a good man at the time. I never even thought anything could happen, until I caught them one day at my house together when I returned early from work. She quickly ushered him out, no real explanation, and left me standing there fuming. Her second AP2, happened after a time of healing between the two of us. She started talking to him at work. He was handsome, very fit, and they shared all of the same interests. She started giving more time to him, and eventually started visiting his house. During this time, she had a DeviantArt account, and told me about a story he had written that she proofread for him. I looked it up, and it was a full-blown work affair story about him and a co-worker that was described exactly like my wife. Of course, I got very mad, and tried to voice that. But again, this drove her to spend more time with this guy. She says that was no more than an EA, as she really enjoyed the attention he gave her, and liked the fact that he so obviously liked her. To top that off, he drew the tattoo I have on my right calf. I was so mad and felt forgotten and unloved. And so, I reached out to another ex through texting. We talked dirty, and it felt very good to be wanted, as I had been ignored and hurt. Again, no intention at all of leaving my wife, but absolutely wrong and disgusting. WW found out, due to having all of my passwords and me not realizing she even cared anymore. We moved to California around 7 years in, after all of the previous stuff, and really started to rebuild a beautiful and meaningful life together. We got baptized, loved the beach and mountains, and started to put love first, or so I thought. It turns out I was wrong, as during this time she continued to talk to AP1, claiming he was still this long-time friend, even knowing full well that she had slept with him. At some point AP2 flew out to where we moved as well to train people at our new job location. This day had me nervous, and again she was late coming home by 3 to 4 hours, claiming she was saying goodbye to her friend, and there were plenty of others there. Sadly, I don't know what actually happened and can't really trust anything she says now. We had our second child 4 years into the move, and she fell into a deep PPD. And so, willing to do anything for her, I decided that we needed to move back home to be closer to family and help. We moved in with her parents temporarily while I found work, and she became a ZAM. This was her dream and I was, and still am so very proud to make it come to fruition. A year into being back, she started talking to people online. Apparently she even invited a stranger to town because she wanted to make friends. She swore nothing happened, and that they went to Walmart and did laundry together. For at least a year afterwards she downloaded the Kik app and talked, sexted, and traded nudes with so many men and women around the world. This is ultimately what led to me finding out as she had jealousy and started guarding her phone. I finally asked her to fess up, and she told me all of the details previous to this point. 2 weeks after D-Day, she had a trip planned to Florida. I dealt really well with the prior information, and was processing my emotions and doing well, until she decided to take the trip alone. The night she got there I got no call, no good night, and she shut her phone off. I panicked and legitimately thought she was dead, or cheating. Which set off the worst panic attack and PTSD episodes I have ever experienced in my life. She got back from the trip and blew up about me ruining it, and ever since she has been extremely ambivalent toward our relationship. Where before the trip she was willing to do literally anything to save the US, now she wasn't so sure, and started giving me a list of all the bad things I had been doing through the years. She is very hot/cold to me, and it is difficult to process. I don't want to leave, but after remembering everything it's so difficult to even pretend that it's worth saving. She started IC last week, and I am starting this week. We plan so far to do that for 3 to 6 months before either MC or separation. We are physically intimate on occasion, but she usually asks me why sex is so important. If I ignore her, or show no real concern, she will hold my hand or follow me around. However, when I'm loving and tender, she pulls away and almost treats me like an acquaintance. I suppose the questions I have are: is our relationship worth saving at this point? What boundaries do I need to set in order for us to be safe during this process? Is the fact that we never got counseling, or went through the process for my original act, the reason she has decided to act out for so long? Is there real hope for a new relationship, one in which I am loved, wanted, and desired in the same way I have given for these past 15 years? What are the actual steps to a real reconciliation? Thank you for reading. I know it is long. This is complicated and tough as we are both BS and WS, regardless of the severity of affairs. I do love my wife with all my soul, and adore the little family we have. Any suggestions are welcome, thanks. I don't wish to come off as jaded like the other people who commented. I am about a month away from my own D-Day and we had an 8-year relationship with only a 6-month affair of hers. She was very open with our relationship struggles and how she was unhappy. She broke up with me in January, after she ducked app, but around Jan we still kept getting to make our relationship work. At that time I didn't know she was cheating. Since catching her she has submitted herself to therapy completely and taken pills for some of her issues. She seems like a different person. She quit her job, changed her phone number, deleted her social media, and told me she would keep tracker apps on her phone for my peace of mind if we got together again, and I still have my doubts. Your story, on the other hand, is with an individual who has been caught red-handed cheating several times and has made no attempt to change their behavior or actions. I am considering reconciling, but our relationship would be on life support and I'm still not sure it would work. That's with both of us trying hard. It does not seem like you also was interested in making it work. I think jaded was the wrong word to use, I suppose. I'm sorry you're going through this too. I don't know if she can change, but I want us to work as we've been together for half of our lives. I've been thinking about separation recently to give us both space, especially as it seems she doesn't really want to make it work. It has been eating at me because of the fact we've been making it work for over a decade now, and she has been unfaithful all along. 20+ year marriage, 3+ years after D-Day, no infidelity on my part, all his. You know what wakes waywards up, makes them want to change? They must lose you or see they will lose you, and some don't, because they don't give a shit. That's a fact. But don't do the pick-me dance, it's demoralizing. It is allowing them, as you did, to break boundaries and blame it all on you. It's encouraging behavior. Have you really been making it work when she is still having affairs? No, I haven't. That's kinda the point, I guess. I have had 12 years of what I thought was reconciliation, and have been blind really. I don't know how to move forward, but I suppose separation may be the best choice here. Please read the post above your answer here. On your questions above, yes, because you didn't do reconciliation properly the first time. Or it may not have worked because she is a serial cheater. That is something you can't fix, and most likely she can't fix either. I know you must be hurting, probably more so than most. If you even want to have the option to give yourself the decision to work this out or not, you need to follow exactly what chumplady.com says. Your so doesn't respect you or the relationship. You can't have love without respect. If she respected you, she would care about your feelings. That's friends do, much less a wife or so. The only thing that might make her respect you and the relationship is North Carolina and divorce. But she has done this for 12 ducking years. Her mind is probably conditioned to believe this is the way things are supposed to be. I'm sure there are a lot of good advice here, so I'll stop. Remember, you deserve so much more than this. You deserve a woman who will love you like you love her and respect you and your relationship. I wrote a reply to your post earlier and it really triggered me regarding my ex, so. Man, I cried for an hour. I'm better now. LOL. Good luck and I wish you Godspeed. Don't worry about the use of that word. I think your gut is right, she has not been faithful for half your life. That was more than enough time to realize she made a mistake, stop the affair and try and make it work with you. Instead, she actively searched for more affairs on dating and hookup sites. She sought it out so much I wonder if she has a sex addiction or something. Sounds like she is a completely different person. I have been thinking about the SA possibility, but it seems so irrational to me. I agree that we definitely should have been able to work through this together, but we had 12 years of fake relationship instead, I suppose. Kinda hard to fathom. I wouldn't risk reconciling with that. You explained how years ago you literally caught her and she just let the guy out of the house while you stood there. That would have been enough for most people to end it, and the fact you kept trying after that shows your commitment, but she did it again and again. She has a pathological issue or addiction or something deeper. But regardless, 12 years is more than enough to see their true colors. Yeah, I know, and I suppose I should be choosing the path to divorce right now. I just want to exhaust every option before that, as I really thought she was my person. Are they even your kids? Ask her that and request a DNA test for them. There seems to be no other option. I mean, if you are a weak man, you will be treated like one. Don't expect regular humane treatment or discuss it here. Just stand firm with 180 and start the process of divorce. She is 12 years ahead of you in moving on, so don't waste your time on these 6 months, as you will be angry at yourself on how you let yourself to be that delusional. Just let her go. Women like that will see to their demise one day. But if a woman sees pride in being a whore, then treat her like one. I was a whore once. I acted like one, and when I judged my past and how people treated me, I found them on the right side of how they treated me. So, yeah. You will not live your fantasy of a family with a woman that entertains a horde of men while acting resentful towards you. BTW, get that STD panel ASAP. I think you have already done so. My ex has been in tons of therapy and explained there are no easy options now. We must choose our hard, either we try and reconcile, which is an uphill difficult path, or split up and start our lives over, which would also be very hard for both of us. In your situation, I think reconciling would be very difficult with such a long history. She didn't just passively meet a guy who she bonded with. She was looking for multiple encounters for years. Oh boy, does that hit home. Neither option is good for me, and both will be so difficult. I suppose we will see if any good comes out of the next few months, and I can make a really hard decision then. I would go no contact for a while, but it sounds like you have 2 kids, so maybe limit it to talk for the kids. Is she still living there? Do you have other farms in California? Think of her as someone with an alcoholic or other kind of addiction. She chose the bottle over you for over a decade. Even if she works out her issues, can you trust her not to relapse with such a long history? Let her be someone else's problem. Try to keep your own mind and body as healthy as possible. Trust in some friends or fam you may have. I am quite solitary myself and realized I may have been able to avoid some of our relationships issues had I talked to people earlier. Brother, there is no one person out there for you or anybody else. The whole idea of the one was created in the past couple of 100 years, and it has destroyed many a man's life. So, you both truly haven't dealt with one another's infidelities, you have rug-swept affairs, and that built up resentments on both sides. This may be a jaded view to you, but if you asked expert therapists, they would even tell you there may be too much damage here to recover. It takes 2 to 5 years or more for a relationship to recover from infidelity if you do everything right. It's not guaranteed. Most importantly, the wayward must stop any and all contact with APs or PAPs, and get into therapy for themselves to fix their broken characters. After this long and the rug sweeping in your marriage, the relationship also appears to be full of codependency too. I'm just sitting here with your challenges, and if the wayward doesn't own what they did, isn't remorseful, and doesn't believe they need to change, guess what? You cannot reconcile the relationship. From what I gather, I've been through roughly 12 years of false ass since D-Day. She has owned her affair, says she wants to change, and has said she doesn't feel worthy of me anymore. Just words I know. We were very young with the first incidents, and had no money or anything for counseling. Not because I didn't want it, but I truly thought we had rebuilt together with honesty and open communication. U/formidable opponent 86, it is what she says. What does she do? The betrayed has to ignore the lip service. Waywards will say a whole lot to deflect and keep up their behaviors, as she did. You need to see change. You need to see that she is being open and honest. You need to see she's not contacting APs still. You showed her you were not continuing in your infidelity, right? You gave her access, you were accountable. You didn't continue the contact, right? I guess that not everyone could afford therapy, but you could afford books that are out there written by therapists that may have helped. Also, in many areas they do have non-profit organizations providing therapy at sliding scales. You just have to look for them. Or if religious, many churches provide counseling too. There are always options. Reconciliation is about rebuilding a relationship on a solid foundation. What false reconciliation is rebuilding with the same destroyed foundation. You all are not starting from scratch, you are starting from damaged scratch. Not saying it is impossible. Had you asked me 2 years ago, I would have told you my marriage was done. I'm just stating it will be harder. You both need individual therapy, STD testing, because even if a cheater claims they didn't have sex, that isn't always the case and protection isn't 100%. She needs to stop all contact with APs or PAPs. In fact, she should have no male friends without your approval, and you too. If you have opposite sex friends, they are acquaintances. It is going to be hard work if you both truly want to reconcile. I really appreciate everything you've said. In the beginning I was working from a place of my infidelity, believing that all the rules and such that I put in place myself were for the benefit of the relationship. We made a rule after moving the first time we wouldn't have single friends, however she seemingly never followed it, or at least made an exception in her own mind of excluding old friends. I have owned and continue to own everything I did at that time, bought the books No More Mr. Nice Guy, as well as Not Just Friends. I have continued to better myself as a man, father, and husband during these years. I am the prize now, and I won't be one with cheap tricks and trials. I've been broken before, and that's the only reason I am even entertaining reconciliation at this time. It's not in my nature to quit, but I am willing to at any time. We see that you did what you were to do for reconciliation early on. Why didn't you impose the same on her? Another great book is Out of the Doghouse by Robert Weiss. Now, one thing that always complicates things, is when the betrayed becomes the wayward or Mad Hatters. It is considered revenge cheating, possibly out of resentment and their self-esteem not being healed, for whatever reasons, so they go outside the marriage, because why not? It will be curious to delve deep for her and to not dismiss that something even before you and the infidelity added to it all, perhaps was the cause of it all too. Just remember, just as your infidelity had nothing to do with her, hers have had nothing to do with you either. It's hard to see that because of all that has happened. And a PS here, many who want that adultery lifestyle who are married want to pick other married people, so it's not enough that Mr. X can be your friend because they are married. These people need to be not just known but approved of by the other in the relationship as friends/acquaintances. Married people cheat, as you well know. There are many single people out there who will not cheat too. And another boundary, you don't vent about marriage issues with outsiders unless they are your therapist or minister. I always thought that was something everyone knew, apparently not. You are an incredibly wise person. What you've written I know to be truthful, and it hurts. The healing starts with me now, and I'll be as strong as I can for myself and my boys. I am gonna leave the boys with my brother over the weekend and confront her again. This time I won't back down, and we will be separating and going North Carolina until she can prove she can be a safe partner. If not, I will absolutely decide to divorce and rebuild this shattered heart alone. Thank you, kind stranger. Truly, I hope you both can move forward together. Truly, it's not my wisdom, well, some is after my stupidity in youth. Much of it was others and reading and seeing things unfold. My own personal experiences too. I didn't react in the best ways either. Mistakes were and are always made. And FYI, if she does show you she is working hard, don't be surprised over some missteps. For example, you do catch her in a stupid lie that isn't worthy of really fighting over. Well, it is after all this because they shouldn't. But the waywards do sometimes slip while trying to change. Not all, but some. I wish someone had told me that. So your wife went for a trip just 2 weeks after D-Day? Why did you allow that, and how can you be sure that she didn't cheat while she was there? You say in the comments she is trying to buy like this. I rug swept my wife's affair, but not like this. At least I put some hard boundaries and she respected that. I'm sorry, but your WW has no respect for you. She is not someone good for you to reconcile, and your relationship has been toxic all the way. If she is still very hot/cold, why even try? She betrayed you, and yet she is the one deciding things and taking time to think about reconciliation. I'm trying to reconcile with my wife because she is trying. She is doing everything and searching on the internet to do a few more, which honestly is one of the reasons I'm at least trying. Your WW doesn't sound remorseful at all. In fact, I think she is confused as to whether you are with her or not. Put yourself first. You are in some sort of denial. Good luck. I completely agree. That's why I'm reaching out like this. Finally grew a backbone and attempted to kick her out after her poor me nonsense. Afterwards we went and talked with my brother and her best friend, and it seemed to change her attitude. She has started IC, but I'm unsure to what end. I don't know whether it's worth it to wait out the few months and see if she gets it, or separate now and let her get it on her own. Mate, why does she want to go talk to her brother and her best friend? Hell, I'd bet $1,000 to a donut her best friend knew about since the beginning and probably covered for her since the beginning. You must go to IC too. You must determine what is best for you, not her, not the kids, not the relationship. If you don't go North Carolina, she will most likely end your relationship. I mean, why not? There is really no relationship at all. You must leave and show her some consequences for her actions. The person who does the breaking up always has better self-esteem and dignity than the one who is broken up with. I suppose I should clarify a bit. My brother married her best friend and we have been moral and familial support for each other through the years. I know for sure neither of them knew, as they were both shocked and brought to tears. It was terrifying to watch my brother cry. That's never happened in the 35 years I've known him. As far as I know, nobody knew outside of her, and we've since told family and friends together about everything. Not that it makes it any better, but they've all been devastated by the news. Probably a familiar story, but we were the couple that everyone looks to as an example of what love looks like. Yet, it's all been a lie, at least some of it has anyway. Planning on letting her know my boundaries, and having her move out for a trial separation soon if I don't see drastic change with her/my IC. Thank you for explaining further. So you are both going into IC. That's good. You might do a trial separation with her to help clear your head. It's good you told everyone. My understanding is that it helps the wayward spouse understand the level of the pain she caused. But, personally, I don't think a WS will ever understand the pain they caused, but that is no reason not to try reconciliation. Full disclosure, as a romantic, I hope you both heal and live happily ever after. But my rational mind realizes that this often isn't the case. Do I hope you heal and live a much better and fulfilling life from this point forward. She may understand the pain pretty well, as she was the BS early on. Unfortunately, now the tables have flipped and to a much greater degree of tragedy. We have so many people that rely on us for support, comfort, and compassion. I've become compressed under the weight of carrying so many other people for so long. It seems that I shoulder the burden for others, and because of that don't have the strength left to carry my own. I honestly wish, with all my heart, that this would have ended 12 years ago. Especially to ease the pain of our family and friends. The pain I would have felt then would have at least been healed, and I could be an even better person now. Could, would, should. I guess we'll never know what might have been, eh? Yep, I understand where you are coming from. Does she want to change? Maybe all this revenge infidelity has gone on so long that she doesn't know any other way. When trauma happens, the brain is actually physically affected. A brain can be reprogrammed and physically develop new neural pathways to help recover from a trauma. I have bad PTSD from deployments, so I've researched it. I don't trust VA doctors. A good book that explains it is The Body Keeps the Score. I think the first step in making a change is to want to change. But with all the gaslighting and lies over such a long period of time, you can't rely on her to tell the truth about anything. I still think that you might want to do the 180, go no contact except when discussing kids, and file for divorce. I'm sure you've read plenty of the stories here that nothing chances with a WS until those divorce papers were served. This sucks because although we all share a similar experience, each experience here is individually unique. But, because of this there really are no right answers to any decision you make. Or a better way to look at it is that all answers are the right answer. If you are in a ducked up position/scenario, any decision you make is good because anything is better than the status quo. Do you think she believes that she actually did something wrong or that hurt you? Did she realize it when she was doing it? Maybe she believes now that what she did was wrong after telling your brother and his wife, her parents and your mutual friends. But, does she feel remorse? Remorse is hard to feel for people in her position, or just guilt, or do you think she is doing this because it's kind of expected of her? Unfortunately, with you having EAs also, neither of you guys handled this like you should have from the beginning. That is not really any fault of your own if you didn't realize there were resources or didn't have any available. Were any of your affairs physical? I was in a similar situation and it was hard for me to deal with that. My reconciliation fails, but not for me not trying. Honestly, looking back at it, I was just a placeholder for her until she could find someone better. She didn't want to work it out. I'm very interested in how you guys can reconcile or not reconcile. In your and her desire to reconcile, does your age factor onto it? I'm not really thinking about the sunk cost fallacy. But I've heard that when infidelity happens when a couple is older, if the WS is remorseful, it may be easier for the BS to consider reconciliation. If you don't mind my asking, what are your ages? I'm 35, she's 33. I haven't slept with anyone but my wife, and had never intended to do so. Early on I had no idea what love really was, or what healing was for that matter. I assume she feels guilt, shame, and despair over the thought of breaking our family apart. She lacks any real remorse, empathy, or compassion however, and continues to blame shift. It's a strange dynamic, because I know her like the back of my hand. I see the pain in her eyes, feel the love she has for me in the little things, and sense the fear of rejection and abandonment. Yet, her words speak to her not being able to trust herself enough to give power over to me for our future together. She is sabotaging our relationship, either on purpose or unknowingly, and it is tearing me apart. I'm not even certain she knows that she is losing me minute by minute, and how breaking that loss is. Man, my heart is breaking for you now. She must be shocked out of her false reality, and you must come to realize you and the kids will be fine without her. You can't worry if she will be fine because you have no control over her. You should probably try to do I have your feelings, get away from her to clear your head and allow her head to hopefully clear too. Then live your best life. Hang with your brother and friends and family, move on with your life, show yourself and the world how well you can function and how awesome you will be with her out of your life. Then have her serve divorce papers. All of these things will bring her out of her fantasy. She isn't respecting herself now, nor you. Then you can decide how you want the relationship to be or to have no relationship with her at all. Because if you do all that, there is a huge chance she will come crawling back to you and might even be remorseful. You must be strong, especially in public. Act strong, fake it until you make it if you must. I know we would be fine without her, and we would have the same life we do now. Very little would change honestly besides the boys having two different homes. We are great parents, and love our children. The difficult and challenging part of the situation I'm in currently is we live in a very, very small town. We are surrounded literally by her family, sister lives upstairs, another across the street, and the rest across town. My family and friends however are about an hour drive away, and the distance is too great to travel regularly. The solution I'm thinking of, should it come to it, is to have her stay with her sister upstairs during times when I'm home. She can be with and watch the kids during the day while I work, and leave half an hour before I get off. No contact, no stress, and the boys still have mom in their lives. For the moment, I'm playing it by ear, and watching her actions like a hawk. I'll pull the plug soon if things don't change, and let her drown herself if I need to. No matter how bad it will hurt to do so. I believe you would be fine without her, but you must show her and everyone, convincingly, that you would be fine without her. My brother, just know. I'm sorry, I'd like to give you hope, it's not there. I can't even fathom accepting a quarter of what you have tolerated. Let me say two things. Your screw up in the beginning was unacceptable. Never repeat. And never back down and accept what is unacceptable. The trip to Florida? No. Only way her ass would have seen the state line was with divorce papers in hand. She will never stay monogamous. Until she gets a whole lot of psychological care, she can't do it. This may not be the popular opinion, but I'd thought I would share. Like you, my WS had an affair with an ex. Now you say you didn't have romantic feelings but do admit you liked the attention and carried on for 3 years. You might be fooling yourself about not having feelings. Ultimately you were getting your needs met by your ex. No spouse enjoys finding out that you share details of your life and marriage with someone of the opposite sex. Now how might that have left your wife feeling? Like you married her still carrying a torch for your ex. Like you might have realized after you married her that you married the wrong woman. Additionally, she may have felt like you were 3 people in your marriage, you, her and your ex. Only she didn't know there were 3 people in your marriage. Can you imagine how that might deeply hurt your spouse? This isn't a betrayal where you got super drunk in a bar and had an ONS. This is you engaging with an ex that you previously had a relationship with. You share feelings, you tell your ex your side of the story when you want attention and validation. This has left your wife in a position of humiliation, sadness and anger. A thought that more than likely crossed her mind upon finding out about it being your ex. That your ex went around feeling smug that she could hook back up with you even while you were married and that she was the one that got away. For me it left me in a position of shaky loyalty to my WS. One that I will most likely not get back fully. I understand your pain, but it is possible that your affair of 3 years contributed to this monster persona your wife has taken on. Lastly, I'll say that cheating on your wife is not your fault. That's fully on her shoulders and she should have handled her pain and anger in a better way, but I think you need to look at your part in this. Hope this helps. I understand your point completely, and have owned that and carried that burden for more than a decade. When I say I had conversations with my ex, it was never about my relationship, sex, or anything related. Which is why I used the terminology I did, and I realized a long time ago that what I did was wrong, disgusting, and deeply hurtful to my spouse. The difficulty I have now, however, is that she has let me believe for these past 10+ years that we were reconciled and recovered, living a beautiful life, all the while making it impossible for me to please her, and painting me the villain in our love story. Instead of carrying out affairs, she could have done anything else, left me, talked to me, shared her feelings, etc. Unfortunately, I believe that she has become addicted to these affairs and has effectively become 2 different people. She can never really share her shameful side with me, the passionate, wild, and adventurous side. Neither can she let me go, as I have become an incredible man, husband, and father through healing and dedication. I misunderstood your comment when you mentioned talking to your ex through tough times and enjoying her attention. What tough times were you talking with your ex about and not your wife? Was this when you were teenagers? Married or not? I agree she could have done anything else but cheat, and you could have done anything else but hook up with another ex. As I said, her cheating is not on you whatsoever. Her getting counseling after your infidelity would have been important. I'm sure you will agree, being in the BS shoes, that part of our thoughts are I had no idea we were in an open relationship, or geez, wish I'd known emotional affairs are good to go. Right now you feel left out of your own relationship, and at one time she felt the same and may very well still feel the same. No WS wants to share their shame with their BS, and they often don't feel like they can shirk their responsibilities with their spouse. As for being an incredible person at this point, have you asked her if she thinks you're incredible? As in, have you asked her how she wants to be loved? Maybe it's bringing her a coffee in the morning or DVRing her favorite show. Maybe it's a Ferrari. For your sake, I hope it's not that. Lol. Your post sounds like you want to work on your marriage, and then all the comments scream leave her now and she's awful. Do what you feel is in your best interests. Just because you go to MC doesn't mean you've agreed to reconcile, it means you're open to the idea that it could help both of you. However, your wife will need to lose her most recent ambivalent attitude before embarking on counseling. It only works if the couple are open to the idea. Good luck. Thanks for the reply, it means a lot to get this off my chest. I'll reply to you in depth when I have time tonight after work. So, to answer your questions. My wife and I have been friends for 18 years, dated for 17, and have been married for 15. We were high school sweethearts, and each other's firsts. The ex I'm talking about was a relationship during high school. They got back in touch in the second year we were dating, and carried into our second year of marriage. I would talk to her about her issues, problems with abusive parents, problems at home, etc. Never anything relationship related, nor having to do with my own. Hers came up as her boyfriend was abusive, and the final conversation we had was about how I would call the police if that's what she needed. However, I was in limerence at the time. Looking back, she did hold some type of place in my heart, and took a small spot that I should have held for my wife. She was a problem, and I hate her for it. She was manipulative, uncaring, and my care for our friendship almost ruined the best thing that ever happened to me. Well, I suppose you could say it absolutely ruined it now. As to whether my wife wants to be loved in a different way, well, all I can say is from the interactions we've had over the years. She tells me I'm amazing, wonderful, and perfect. Sexy, lovable, kind, and the best. Even recently she says the same, and that she feels she doesn't deserve the man I am today. I know her love languages, share my life with her, and have put her first in everything for a very long time. Unfortunately, I believe that my infidelity created the perfect storm and wall behind which my wife could hide, living whatever life she wanted while still clinging to the beautiful life we had created together. Come whatever may, I miss it already. You minimize the effect of your actions on the marriage. Neither one of you is innocent. You may be able to save the marriage if you both acknowledge the damage you have done. I think you should try to work it out, based on your post, which lacks what I would want to know about marriage. So I can't tell a lot about it, but one thing I can see is that your wife is a lost soul, a really confused and sad individual. She is just drifting through life. Her affairs, and I think she has had way more of them than you are aware, at least double, I would think, are not making her happy. She is just not a happy person. As for you, I think you have the skills, but have not used it. You really haven't done much to do what you can. She can't. You can, but so far, you just assumed way too much, and you have, from my point of view, let your wishes make your decisions for you rather than the actual reality. You wanted it for your family, for your kids, for yourself, for your wife. You wanted it to be a certain way, and you either compartmentalized it or, as people here refer to it, rug swept it. Rug sweeping is when you ignore the problems, sweep them under the rug, so to speak, so you don't have to see them and deal with them. But now the pile of dirt under the rug is so high that you keep stumbling over it. You gave a decent description of what happened. You did this, she did that, you thought this, but she was doing that, and so on. But what you didn't do is tell why she did it. Now, I have no doubt, she doesn't even know why she does what she does half the time. But she has a reason. Even if it's probably a lie she tells herself. Have you ever asked her why? Each affair she did, why did she make that decision? You can reconcile. Marriage requires both people to participate, and work as a team. None of us are perfect, so we can fail now and then. But those failures can't be unlimited. And timing can be important. She can't fail and fail and fail when there is a crisis in your willingness to stay. She has to step up and fix herself. Whether that be through counseling or reading books or watching videos or whatever, she has to figure out her behaviors, what she wants in life, and how to go about it. In marriage, there always is what if. You have to do the same thing as her. Why did you ignore, wish instead of focus on reality, etc.? What do you want in life, in marriage? And what happens is, you both have to agree on those two things, what you want in life, what your marriage should look like. That is the what if. What if she doesn't keep up her end, and she may eventually have the same what if for you? I would want to know, if I were you, what was her reasoning for risking her marriage? Did she think she was risking it? What in her opinion is bad about the marriage to justify or rationalize her lying and hiding and deceiving, rather than just get out of the marriage if she was that unhappy? That is probably the first step. I have to step away for a couple hours at least, so I'll give you more of a plan if you want later. Let me know because I won't waste my time if you don't agree with me so far. All of this sounds completely reasonable. I'd love to hear more, thank you. I have assumed for a long time that our marriage was perfect, and overlooked little things here and there that were issues between us. She has given a few reasons as to why she cheated, but not anything real. She even admits that her original reasons were just blame shifting and that she doesn't really know why at all. She had been unhappy, but never reached out because she was afraid of losing me. None of it makes sense, and I hope that IC starts to help. She has said that I was controlling, angry, and emotionally distant. I pointed out however that all of those things are within the last 5 years when she really started keeping secrets and hiding her phone on it constantly etc. I can clean my side of the street, and am more than willing to fix whatever our relational issues are, but can't do anything to fix her mental problems. A good place to start is what you just wrote. You can clean your side of the street, but can't do anything to fix her mental problems. Sometimes people can fix their mental problems, sometimes they can't, sometimes they can, but it takes a long time. You have to start there, I think. Hope for the best, but be ready for the worst. You have a vested interest, you are biased, so you just have to be aware of that. Others might say walk away now, chances are slim and none, and that may be true. Many of us may agree, but not about ourselves. Because of our vested interest, we are willing to still try to work it out, especially if you or her are trying a different tack, EA, starting IC, etc. The why is still very deficient on her part, and if you are accepting it, you shouldn't. My question is, so should yours be, why did she stay married if she was so unhappy? She told you and you posted here why she thinks she cheated, you were controlling, blah blah blah, but she didn't say why. If you were such a miserable husband and she was so wildly unhappy that she wanted multiple affairs, did she do absolutely nothing, I mean zero, to change that? Why didn't she see an attorney, get an apartment, tell you about it? I am about 99.9% aware of why she did what she did. You may be fairly sure why, but I think she has to be on the same page, and I think it is important for her to come to Jesus, so to speak, about it. Maybe it will be a revelation to her when she realizes it. Neither of you, when you married, even if it was an unspoken agreement or unspoken mutual dreams or goals of the future, wanted to have affairs, hide the phones, delete messages, and play those games. And for what? She still is not happy. And you were faked so you were happy with a happy dream, and now the reality is more like a nightmare. Preface to say, I think cheaters like your wife, and not every cheater is this type, but I see your wife as kind of a person who has a drug addiction. That mentality. I've known alcoholics and junkies, and generally, over a longer period of time, they are not happy and they know it. Yet, they still lie, deceive, do whatever is needed, to keep drinking, keep using. They either don't relate the drinking/using to unhappiness, or they think the drinking/using is better than the alternative, being sober. That is truly a sad place to be, really a very pessimistic outlook of the future. You have to be able to walk away. Maybe you won't walk away as quickly as I would or someone else would, but you have to realize that you might do that if she doesn't step forward. Hey, maybe most of us, with no vested interest in your situation, may accurately assess, chances of failure are great, so better to walk away now before you have any more pain. Take your time, but understand it's not up to you in the end if she can fix herself. First step, determine if you care about the truth. I personally wouldn't care, but probably she's had more infidelity than you're aware, and it's helpful, I think, to get that out of the way before you dig in to fix her mental issues that made her choose to cheat rather than tell you about it or leave you. Tangent, I think if she truly was unhappy, and I think she really was happy though life wasn't perfect, it was chores and kids and not all roses, such is life, and you are never going to get away from those things, so she has to be realistic about what happy in a marriage is. I think she never told you about it because she was not really unhappy. Even she was aware that you couldn't do anything about life's realities, like the kids don't behave and we can't live like the celebrities and things get broken and dirty and we have to deal with it, the kids poop and we have to wipe them. Affairs are an escape. There are no chores, no wiping poop, no broken appliances, etc. Affairs are just I think you're hot and you think I'm hot and sex is good and I love you and you love me. I call it the affair bubble, no life's realities penetrate it. In that way, it's similar to alcohol or drug to excess. An escape, a fantasy, but when it's over, the problems are still there, and probably even worse than before. Whatever she was unhappy about in the marriage or in you, having an affair was not going to make it get better. If the car doesn't run, drinking isn't going to make it get repaired. But drinking may take your mind off of it. I would like her to get that. She doesn't now, she thinks it's because you are controlling. Guess what? What if you were? I don't think you are, but what if you were? You're not going to get better if she doesn't even tell you about it. You're not going to get better if she just have secret affairs behind your back. And what if she leaves you and finds another guy who is not controlling? Does she think he will be perfect? If he isn't controlling, I can guarantee you he has some other flaw. Yeah, she might like that better, whatever flaw he has. But let's face it, bottom line, you don't stay married for 10, 15, 20 plus years and then just walk away without at least bringing up the problems and try to fix them. Well, some people do it, but those people are the ones who walk through life unhappy and doing one stupid thing after another and never realizing how they did it to themselves. If you want the truth, ask her. I don't know if you'll get it, or how you would even know if she did or didn't give it to you. But you could ask. It just hurts if she doesn't come clean now and later on, after she says she did, something pops up that makes you realize she still kept lying. Most marriages with affairs fail because of the lies and deceit after being caught, rather than the affairs themselves. I think most people can work together if the other person admits and makes amends, which includes telling the full truth and doing what is reasonable to fix the things they did. I would get paternity tests. If your kids are small, let's assume that someday they may get one of those tests that tell them if you are the biological father or not. I think it's better to deal with it now. Ask your wife to get an STD test and give you results. Ask her to write down all her affairs, when they started, when they ended, and significant milestones. You let her know what you think you want to know. I would assume they had sex and enjoyed it, probably said I love you, but obviously they all ended except for the most recent one, so they really aren't good at identifying true love, or they just like lying to each other as well as to you. I personally would want to know who else you know who either had an affair with her or knew about it, especially any who encouraged her or didn't discourage her. People ongoing in your life, I think you should know about. Ask her to go no contact on any affair partner, block them after telling them she wants them to never contact her again and her showing you the message. Decide if anyone encouraged her, didn't discourage her, or knew about the affair and did nothing, if you can live with that or want her to end it with them. You have to be comfortable staying in the marriage. If you reconcile, you are going to be eating a big shit sandwich for a year or two, maybe more, so don't make it harder for yourself than you have to. Love yourself. If she isn't willing to do those things, consider that she really doesn't want this marriage enough. Be ready to walk away if she won't meet your requests. Understand you are asking her, not threatening, not giving ultimatums. If she won't do any of them, just let her know that you will do what you think is best for all involved, you, the kids, and her, when you are ready. If she doesn't do what you need, though, if you want to start divorce, do so. But if you don't yet, at least start detaching. Stop sex, affection, etc. Start working as a co-parent and roommate, not a husband, not a lover, not friend, a roommate who have to share household finances and duties. This man is wise, but I honestly don't think I could ever see your wife as being honest. And if she was honest, years down the road, how could you tell? You are still in shock, probably. Not for sure you are on denial. You must clear your mind, you can't do that living with her. Go North Carolina except when needing to talk about the kids. There are a lot of good co-parenting apps out now that make it messy. You have been gaslighted for 12 years. How would you know if anything in the world was actually real? Best of luck. Thank you for this. This is exactly what I needed to hear. I think you're dead on with your description as it pertains to our relationship, and even potentially with her reasons for straying. I'll keep in touch. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.